Hey guys, Brian here with Be Free Productions, first video of 2020. This is one I've been meaning to do for quite some time, and I have never got around to it. I've been so busy, especially at the end of last year, but I'm very happy to be back. So today we're going to look at LA Modern Percussion by Audio Ollie. If you're in the composer game, the virtual instrument game, samples, you probably know of this. It was released at the end of last year or middle of last year, and one of the big selling points is that it has mixes from Alan Meyerson, this legendary Hollywood mixer, mixes, Hans Zimmer scores, all kinds of scores. And so, like, if you watch the trailers, you just notice that it sounds so bombastic and massive right out of the gate.
So if I'm going to put my name on a library, I'm going to want to make sure that there's something unique and special about it.
So while we're going to look at that and look at some of the microphone positions and the multis and ensembles and stuff and what instruments it has, I also really want to compare it with some other libraries because it's not a cheap library. And it does require the full version of Kontakt to run. So I have, some 8-Dio Epic percs, Audio Imperious Cerberus, Sample Logic Drum Fury, different libraries on different spectrums of the price points, and we'll see how they compare. Now, let's dive right into LA Modern Percussion. So this, I love loading up the multis because when you try to find an instrument, it's not my favorite, I'll be honest, because we have quite a bit here. So since it's not in the library tab, you've got to scroll over here, and then you're going to have, different ensembles, and some of them are a bit, overwhelming with how they name everything. But so a good place to start is just load up a multi here. So these will have these stacks, right? Toms, Grand Casas, taikos, bass drums, whichever you want, depending on which multi you load up. So you get something like this straight out of the box. I mean, you can hear that it is just, it's punchy, and it's got a ton of low end. This is probably, out of all the drum libraries I own, like instantly when you load it up and you play something like that, or just, on your keyboard or your drum pad or something, and you're just kind of instantly blown away. It's like, finally you have this kind of Hans Zimmer blockbuster sound. But I also want to see if we can achieve that with, some less expensive drum libraries. But first, let's take a listen to like the individual instruments and show you where I really think this collection shines, and then also show you some of the quirks. Now, I'm going to load up a single instrument here, a taiko, and the microphone positions here are really kind of incredible. So this is just close mics and then one of the overhead. So where I think this really shines is the versatility, because you can get such a detailed sound just, using that close mic. So you can hear how as I add the mics, the room sound gets, intensifies instead of just that close detailed sound. So a lot of versatility there. Now you can just go to the mixes page and, load up just the Alan Meyerson mix or something like that. But the fact that you have all these microphone positions is pretty damn cool, and it's pretty intensive, especially for a percussion library. Also, wanting to point out, look at the memory here. With all of these mics loaded, it's taking 27 megabytes of RAM. So that's pretty, incredible that you can get such a nice sound with such a low footprint. So here I have the Gotham drums, the multi loaded up, and I'll take this moment to tell you how things are laid out on the keyboard. I thought this was a bit confusing at first, but if you look in the blue keys here, this one hits the hardest. So that shows you exactly how many dynamic layers there are. And they are, one key is one dynamic layer for right there. And then up here in the green keys are how the traditional drum libraries, in my experience, are, organized. And that is with one key and it's velocity sensitive. So you smack the key hard, it smacks the drum. You press it lightly, it's a very light drum hit. So that's what I'm using here. So what I had loaded up there was just the Gotham drums typed. So it was just, big stack of drums. Speaking of, the kind of Gotham Batman theme, this one's called Bat Flap, and it's just this. So first off, let's talk about a couple things there. That obviously resembles, the Dark Knight or the Batman Begins intro there, but if you're using headphones or a sub, you can absolutely hear how much low end that has. And in fact, if I didn't purge this sample here, it would just keep going, which is one of the things, the little quirks about this library, is there is a ton of room noise and resonance like that, especially with the multis, because in the individual instruments, you can really go in and make your own stacks with the mic positions and everything. However, for the multis and for just, the default when you load it up, there can be a ton of room noise, which can be a hiss. Now, when you're playing it by itself, it's very noticeable, but I chalk this up to something that is, these are mixed kind of to perfection, straight out of the box, and I've never had a problem when I use these instruments in a mix. So when I'm playing it by itself, I'm like, holy shit, that has like so much low end, it's so boomy. The tails just kind of go on forever, not forever, but for a long time, and then there's some hiss. You could hear it there especially. I hope that is not too loud, but it might have been. So if you need an example of that, let's check this out really quick. It's going to be loud, so forgive me. Now, of course, you're going to need headphones to really hear it, but you can hear how it just kind of lingers there. There's a lot of room noise, a lot of hiss there. So that is one thing. I've just seen this mentioned on the forums, and it's obviously something I noticed when I was playing each of them by themselves. But when it's in a mix, I honestly have never, had to go back and be like, what is that? It doesn't really stand out in a mix. So that is just, the soloed layer of the Max Ensemble Roomy. Obviously, since it's called Roomy, it's going to have more of that room sound as well. I will also mention that when you stack multiple of the multis, you load up one multi and you put another one, you're really going to have to adjust the levels because of the low end. It can be very overwhelming in the sub levels. You can see right here in the EQ, look how much low end it has, and this is with no, I have a compressor on there, it's turned off. So these are, again, just straight out of the box. Let's just scroll through, I'll shut up, and we'll listen to a lot of them and see what they sound like. So you notice on some of them, I need to go back and adjust the dynamics a bit in between the notes, because we still, even though there's so many dynamic layers, we still get some of that machine gun effect. I really like these just sticks and shakers. I wonder what that'll be, right? Again, there you can hear the room noise, but while it's very noticeable here when we're listening to it by itself, just please remember I've never had a problem with it when it's sitting in the mix. These are very, very loose. It sounded like crap when I played it in the sequencer there. These are so loose, they have a long, attack. There's one Pirates Ensemble, which has a lot of different... I mean, holy crap, listen to the sub bass there. It's just incredible. So let's go in and make our own stack, kind of. And, not only do we have all these drums, we have like a wide variety of playing styles, like hands, brushes. Some of them are labeled hard, and they're going to be, for those balls to the wall action scenes. And then others are going to be more soft, like the sticks and hi-hats and stuff. Really nice textural stuff. So let's load a few up. Tycho's toms. Gran Casa. Then they have Doles. And let's see what this sounds like with the default mixes. So I love this library. This is an honest look at it. You can hear there's so much room noise there with those default mixes. There's no hiding that when it's exposed like this. But it just sounds really damn good. So let's kind of see it in context, I guess, with some other, layers here. Now, what I did use for this was the Gotham drums. Can you see why? Can you guess what was, kind of inspired, what the this song I wrote was inspired by? So we have this. So everything does, in my opinion, blend together, but you can hear when I made that other stack here, obviously I was just adding a bunch of instruments. I didn't listen to each one individually, but there is a lot of rumbling. But I mean, holy shit, it smacks so hard and it just punches through. So you can see really where this stuff excels at those really massive percussion walls. And of course, as I've mentioned before, there is a lot of versatility here because of the way you can go in and the ridiculous amount of mic positions. It's pretty damn cool. So this is just the close mics on those, those taikos. And it's super detailed. So if you really want to get the most out of it, I would recommend going in, and there's a lot of folders, which isn't my favorite, but that means there's a ton of detail. So you're going to have, your toms and brushes and flams and, kind of rolls and stuff like that. But if you want, there's dynamic hits hard, and that's what I've been using when I want that, massive action. It's just so perfect right there. Now, to me, it's perfect, but it's up to you guys to decide if you need this or not. It sounds absolutely incredible, and it sounds like a Hollywood blockbuster action movie. But you can hear there's a lot of room noise. There's a little things like that, which can be tamed. It includes different filters and an EQ all in here. The interface is beautiful, but again, I love it. It's honestly my go-to drum library for action stuff. So you can see where I should lower the dynamics there. And it's going to sound a bit different depending on, which drum you load and everything. So what sounded good with the Gotham ensemble before doesn't sound as good here. And this is just taikos and toms I have loaded up. So I mean, there's a lot of videos about this, and they have like an hour-long walkthrough on really everything it does. So while I did talk a little about that, let's now compare it to some other libraries, because I know there are some other really popular libraries out there, especially like the 8Dio Epic Percussion and Audio Imperia Cerberus, and then I also use Sample Logic Drum Fury. Someone mentioned that in a live stream I did with Audio Plugin Deals a couple weeks back. So let's go in and see how these libraries are different, and if you have any of these that I've just listed, if you can achieve that sound with manipulating these libraries. So this is 8Dio Epic Taikos. Sorry, I want to solo that, so tell my strings to shut up. And then we'll go here. What you immediately notice about this is that even though these are just close mics, far mics are not even here, but listen to how roomy that is. So while I love the 8Dio Epic Taikos, they have a different sound, but there's going to be a lot of reverb there. And you will not be able to get as up close a sound as with, using those close mics on LA Modern Percussion. But this is an amazing drum library. You use it all the time as well. So let's go in and try the Epic Toms, which is my second favorite. So here we have the Epic Toms. No, we don't. So it's in the wrong. There we go. So immediately we run into our first problem with some of the samples in this library, and they're not very tight. You can really hear it there. It really sounds off. I do love this library, but I'm here to be honest and show you the shortcomings and the strengths of each one. Amazing sound there, a lot more tight. So let me... So this is just the 8-DO toms, and here is the, let me solo out the toms for the LA Modern Percussion. Now let's go in and kind of... So honestly, for the toms, in this instance, I do like the 8-DO there. So let's go back in here. I want to mute this and just do the taikos. So while LA Modern Percussion, where I think it really shines, is on those stacked multis, because you can load up just the toms and adjust those mics just the way you want so that they don't clash with the taikos. You can really go in and kind of surgically just bring in just a little bit of room for the toms, use the close mics for the taikos, and make your own mix of your own kind of epic percussion ensembles. So you really can make your own sound when it comes to that. I think if you just want taikos, you just want toms, I think, you know, the 8-DO ones are a better option there because they're also cheaper. But LA Modern Percussion is going to offer you so many more options to really sculpt your sound and also get, you know, these really nice, detailed, intimate textures that you would not be able to get with the epic taikos, the 8-DO stuff, because they have so much of the room tone kind of baked in. Like, it sounds amazing, but it is very roomy. So, you know, you can decide for yourself which one you really like. But let me also just kind of load up a multi real quick. Dojo Fight Close. Let's just try that one. Because to be a fair comparison, let's see where this one really shines. You still get the machine gun effect quite a bit there. But I feel it's more, it's you know, better right out of the box. It's going to sit in a mix better, where the 8-DOs are going to struggle to kind of punch through. Now let's go to Cerberus, which I think is probably the best at like the really tight up close sound. So let's check that out. Now here's Cerberus. It's fairly dry, and we do have a lot of nice low end there. It is, you know, nice and boomy, but it doesn't ring out forever. So I think honestly, in combination, using like the roominess from LA Modern Percussion and then the really dry punchiness of Cerberus is an amazing combination. I'm sure you can also get that result by messing with the transients and, you know, making a sharper attack on this big multi-stack. But Since there's so many drums here, if you turn one up too much, you might get a little bit of clipping, whereas Cerberus just seems, these are also the processed presets in Cerberus, so keep that in mind. It's going to have the perfect amount of compression to really punch through. That's both of those stacked together. I think it sounds incredible. And that's just Cerberus. Again, sounds incredible. They're not going to be as organic, though. They're going to be more for trailers and stuff like that, where LA Modern Percussion and 8Dio sound a bit more organic. Now, Drum Fury. This one is hard to compare with because we don't have a huge array of mic positions here. While when you go in and load it, there are going to be a lot of different, they kind of give you hints on how these were recorded. So for instance, let's go here, ensemble close, ensemble stage. They have things like that that give you hints that, you know, this was recorded on a stage. This is over here, tom ensemble balcony. And so that's how the mic positions are implemented, each in a different one. So you're going to have a ton of instruments, which may not be everyone's favorite, but let's check these out. Now, I threw these in the mix because I honestly feel like those are kind of a really nice balance between everything that I've shown you so far. So they're punchy, they're slightly roomy, there's not too long of a trail, and they can be used in trailers as well as a bit more organic. So there's 4 totally different percussion libraries and how they differ. I think LA Modern Percussion is going to be instantly the most versatile, and it might be a bit overwhelming for someone new. It's going to have a lot of room noise. If you don't want that, you're going to have to go out of your way to tame it. There's no doubt about that. 8Dio, again, a lot of room noise. They sound amazing though. I feel like that and LA Modern Percussion, they are going to sound very, very good right out of the box. And where LA Modern Percussion will offer you more versatility to bring the sound up close and have more of an intimate sound, 8Dio will not have that. Even with the close mics, we still have a lot of room. Cerberus is kind of the opposite of 8Dio. It's very up close and punchy, but you can get a nice roomy sound, but I feel like this is the most processed, so it's not going to sound as realistic, but it is the most punchy and perfect for trailer music. While I just mentioned again, Drum Fury is kind of a combination of all that, but you're going to have to load up different instruments to really get the most out of it because we don't have mic positions loaded up. So they all, they all have their uses. I love them all. I definitely use LA Modern Percussion when I need that Hans Zimmer sound, and it has never disappointed me so far. But I may have to go in and kind of tweak the mics and whatnot, and to really get the sound and sculpt it the way I want it. So that's, my epic drum shootout. Now, I will mention that if you have Strikeforce or maybe Hans Zimmer Percussion, I don't have either of those, but between Strikeforce and LA Modern Percussion, I feel those are frequently mentioned as the end-all and be-all for that huge epic sound where it's just mixed perfectly and it's going to just smack your face off. So those two, if you have one or the other, you may not need the other one. So this is what everything sounds like exposed and with some strings going on there. I hope it's been informative, helpful, and I will be back with more absolutely this year. I've got some new videos coming up for you guys, so thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and stay updated, and let me know, comment below. I love reading your comments. Let me know if you want to hear anything or see any comparisons or reviews coming up. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.